Hi, and welcome to Shoot and Breeze. Today I'd like to demonstrate the disassembly and reassembly of the Match 54 Action Anschutz 1710 bolt. Reasons that you may want to take your bolt apart are for firearm familiarity, bolt components that you may want to examine and clean, and just general maintenance. So here we'd always check. In this example we have some gunk around the bolt face from after firing. Sometimes we might get some in the little sliders here, around the extractors, and just general have an examine around the bolt face itself. Okay, so let's take it apart. I always take a firm grip on the bolt body, and you'll notice at the moment that the bolt is in the set position. So I want to return the bolt to the unset position. So I'll take a firm grip on the body, turn it in a clockwise direction. It frees itself up. Now you can find that there's a bit of play in the handle, and you'll notice that this is offline with the center here. So continue to hold a firm grip on the bolt body, and we want to turn the bolt head in an anti-clockwise direction. In 2 stops we'll remove the head. So take it once, twice, and you'll notice we're now in line with the center of the bolt itself, and we can just wiggle gently the head of the bolt off. So just a little bit of play and magic, and we take it off. I always like to lay the components of my bolt out onto a white cloth so I can see it better, and in the steps that I remove them, so I take the bolt head and place it at the top, then I remove the collar of the bolt itself, put it down next, and here inside we have the firing pin with the attached spring. Remove it and place it out on the paper, and then the bolt itself, and then the body of the bolt. I don't strip down to the extractors unless there's a actual problem with the extractors, because they can be quite difficult to return into position. So now you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 components, 5 major components to the bolt itself. So let's take the bolt body, examine it, check it over and clean it. As I said, we have some gunk after firing of lead deposits on the bolt face, and I have here just a normal hard bristle toothbrush. You can get bronze cleaning brushes which are much stronger, but for this example it's fine with a hard surfaced bristle toothbrush. And I also have a little rag and a little light oiling on it as well. So here I'd just like to scrape around the extractors. Nice little hard rub, so but not enough to do any damage. Okay, we've removed the rough things, so we can take off the little cloth and just give it a gentle wipe. Just edge your fingernail around the extractors, give them a nice little clean. The reason you want to always keep your bolt face clean is just so that you can have a nice solid stop when you actually cock the bolt in the rifle when you're taking a shot. You don't want to have any obstructions that might prevent your line from loading properly and actually setting your bolt in the rifle. So then I'll just give it a little wipe over, just check the lines here, that we clean them out. Everything's looking good. Also, you'd like to check, if you have a flashlight, you can check the inside of the bolt body, and a possible little chamber mop or a cleaning rod would go down here, and just a little wiggle around would take out any gunk that might be sitting facing down at the back end of the bolt face. Like to take the bolt itself, I always just examine the face of the collars themselves, because they're the bits that all sit together. Just give them a little run over with the cloth, just to take any debris that might be there off position. The firing pin itself is pretty important. You can't do much without it. We have the spring here. I don't really oil the spring so much because it's pretty okay. A little light oiling, and not very frequent, but not so much. And then the body of the firing pin, always take the cloth, run it down, and always remove any lead deposits or gunk that might gather up around these lines on the firing pin itself. So nice little clean there. Looks good. Just put it back into position. Take the collar. Again, just clean off the faces and the edges. Just check there's nothing inside. It looks good. And then the bolt head itself. Always just give it a little examine. And here you'll see when the bolt is actually set, this little part in here will protrude through to show that the bolt's set. So you can always just put your finger through and you can check that the spring tension is good on that. It's pretty good. And I don't see any debris around here, so I'll just wipe the face off. Okay. So now the next step after cleaning and maintenance, and if you've had to replace a part, is to reassemble the bolt. So again, we'll take the bolt body. You can hold it in your cloth or by hand if there's a light oiling, or else you can oil afterwards. I just take the bolt body, hold it in my hand. The next step is to take the bolt itself. Before I replace the bolt, you'll notice that there's two kinks from here, two little sets out here on the bolt. One is when you're in the set position, and one is when you're in the unset position. We always want to reassemble the bolt. You must move it into the unset position. You'll notice that it's the unset position because this component of the bolt runs parallel to this part of the bolt itself. I call this the center line of the bolt itself. So this one just runs parallel to it, just off slightly to the right. So that's in the unset position. If it was in the set position, it'll move in and they all run in line from here to here to here. So return it to the unset position for reassembly. Hold that in place with your thumb. Take the firing pin. The firing pin, you'll notice that there's a small end here and a larger end out. This larger end slides down and connects into the center line of the bolt itself. Next we take the collar. It's got one part removed, so that slides down and sits tightly over here. And then the head of the bolt. To replace the head can be tricky for some if you're not familiar which way it goes, but if you keep the little handle of the head in line with the centre of the bore, as I call it, or sorry, the centre of the bolt, now we have everything in a line, so I can just gently ease this back on. It does, because it has a spring, it's got some tension in it, so you do have to just a little bit of wiggling and it comes into play. So using your other hand, hold everything in position, give it a little squeeze down, and to set it, we want to turn it in a clockwise direction, and it'll be 2 stops to the right, and the head of the bolt will be securely fastened. So one tight grip, one turn, 1 stop to the right, 2nd stop to the right, and that's in the clockwise direction. Now the bolt is safely secured and put together and reassembled. To turn it around, you can see here we have a fire and a safety positions in the bolt, and we know that the bolt is now set. Here we want to set the bolt completely so we can actually insert it into the firearm in the chamber of the firearm. So again, I always take a firm grip on the body, and we want to turn the bolt handle in an anti-clockwise direction, 1 step, so that we bring this line parallel and in complete line with the centre of the bolt itself. So take 1 grip, slight turn to the right. You'll see that the bolt has cocked itself from the tip going up here, and now we have everything running in the centre line of the bolt. And now your bolt is ready for insertion into your firearm. And that is how you remove, disassemble and reassemble and clean parts of your bolt. Now that we have the bolt assembled, we take the firearm and we want to check that the bolt will fire in the firearm and function properly. So here, I'll just remove the chamber flag. I'll do a manual inspection that the bore is free. Yep, there is no obstructions or anything down the chamber. So now, as the bolt is set, I'm going to slide it into the action of the firearm. Okay, I can see that the bolt can cock in the firearm, so it's set. I also want to check the functionality of the bolt. So I'll take my snap cap, insert it into the chamber. And now I'm going to load the bolt in and snap it into position. So now the bolt is in position, it's locked in position, and the firearm is ready to fire. So I'm just going to give it a little squeeze of the trigger. And it's fired. So now to uncock, up once, slide it back gently, and extracts the snap cap. And now just to remove the bolt, and put it away. And replace my chamber flag to indicate that my firearm is empty for safe range handling. And that is how you disassemble and reassemble your Match 54 Action Anschutz 1710 bolt and test it in your firearm to show that it's functioning afterwards. Thank you for watching. Take care.